just a little bit of funny information in case you didn't know. In my first 2 or 3 years of practice, as I was figuring out what I'm doing with my life, as the first certificate I did was the HeartMath certificate in 2008. Because I actually met the leadership, including Childred at their facility in Ben Lomond, California. And it's if you ever want to see a full conscious company that operates, that puts their operations, put the philosophy behind operation of what they actually deliver. And like, we had this organic lunch. I remember I just dropped by and they just welcomed me. I had an organic lunch on their site where the stuff is made, with the food grown right in their backyard of their facility, of the place where they actually design and implement the equipment and test it. I think it actually made in China, like everything else, but the facility itself, the headquarters are there. So I still have a fond memory. And then and we also had a podcast with the research director of the HeartMath. So if anybody's interested, I can put that in the link. So I hope everybody's doing well. You know the drill. You have any kind of questions, COVID or not. This is a change. Just any questions about your health, chronic health conditions, we probably going to start doing that, not just only COVID related. So drop them in the chat. That's for a second. I have a quick topic, which I'll cover in a couple of minutes. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to the YouTube video I just recorded. By all means, visit and check it out. So there was an article published a couple of weeks ago in, it's not a very well-known journal. It's a clinical journal in Europe, basically saying the following. The long COVID often appears months later, and the hallmark, what we already knew, which is what's called the postural orthostatic hypertension, or POTS syndrome, where a person autonomic nervous system is dysregulated. This is the first study that actually explained exactly how it happens. It explains why it happens not right away. It explained that it's all about chronic inflammatory response that sets by the virus and then doesn't shut down. So it's continuous, and it's continuous in the vagus nerve. And they've actually done histopathology. So they did biopsies on this poor 300 plus people. They did a biopsy of the vagal nerves together with some other things. And they showed that the inflammatory response is still there even months after. So very important finding. I decided to cover this topic today because on Tuesday I saw a young woman, very athletic, a physician who is basically just shut down her practice because she couldn't work, she's completely disabled. And her case of long COVID was missed by a half a dozen specialists at GW and Hopkins. I just find it completely, utterly unacceptable. And the timing was like exactly what this study just showed. Basically, 3 months after COVID, she started getting shortness of breath, unable to exercise, unable to walk, just completely disabled. And they kept telling her, because her tilt table, the special test to kind of rotate person in a space and induce the fast heart rate, she didn't pass it. She passed it. She didn't fail it because she's so athletic. But because of that, I said, you don't have POTS, you don't have post-COVID syndrome, we don't know what to do with you, goodbye, and shipped her out. So she kept looking for a solution and found me. And we see cases like this a lot. We see cases like this in dozens. And I think the importance is, it's just really sad to see that the standard care doesn't want to acknowledge that even though the research is coming up, these things are still linked, even though they're months apart. So if you have anybody who, friends, relatives, loved ones, anybody who's been in this picture, please make sure it's COVID. There's nothing else that can explain this. It's 100% COVID. They need to engage in mind-body practices. They want to try acupuncture. They want to try anti-inflammatory diet, but they need to quench down this inflammatory response on at both peripheral and central nervous level. So that's all I have for today. I'd rather leave more time for our speakers today, Ellen and Amin, and I'm apologizing, I'll leave it around 2:25 because we are doing a national presentation on our groups, on our long COVID groups, and on our cancer group. So I'm going to support one of our students and also Ashley, who is doing the presentation. So questions? Recently, someone recommended star anise tea for long COVID with folate. Yeah, that's something doesn't add up. I don't think I can comment on this because there's no such thing. There's no point mixing a tea with folate. Folate is highly unstable molecule. If you warm it up, it will immediately dissociate. I can't comment on this question because I don't understand what it means. I also don't understand why would you do, anise is known for some digestive support, but I can't comment on that beyond that. If anybody knows, be my guest. Folate is critical molecule. It's one of the essential B vitamins that's required for detoxification and control of inflammation, but we don't give it separately. We give it in complex with other nutrients almost always. Okay, Benito asking, great question. Who should get new booster? Nobody can get new booster. So let's wait with this question because we're not getting it till October. That's an estimate. Probably, I'm guessing maybe first week of October. That sounds like the target. I am gonna here say what I've said for the past many weeks, which is if you've had a booster within the last year, don't get another one. I don't like every 6 months. I strongly disagree with that. In fact, I'm going to prioritize people now getting RSV and flu shots than COVID. The new variant, the one we talked about a couple of weeks ago, and then the newest one, the 2.6, I believe, they're all as mild as before. It's not getting any worse. The frequency is going up everywhere, but cases are super mild. And I don't feel strongly pushing the vaccinations very frequently because we are seeing increased inflammatory and autoimmune conditions gradually going up. And some people just strongly associate them with the shots. So I think you're going to be protected for at least a year after the either prior COVID vaccine or the natural immunity. If you're running close to a year, like 10 months, by all means, go get that if you don't want to wait. But I would prioritize first flu shot in mid-October and then getting COVID shot a little bit later, unless, of course, the situation changes, but then we can discuss this again. Okay, next. Getting RSV and flu shots together. No, I do not recommend get any vaccines together, at least 4 weeks apart. It doesn't matter what you're getting. It's bad enough that you have to get certain vaccines as a combination. For example, if you need to get tetanus, you're not going to get pure tetanus. It's almost impossible to find. You're going to get Tdap or at least TD, which is a tetanus and diphtheria. So no, separate them. It's a perfect time to get RSV vaccine as soon as it comes out. I don't think it's available just yet. And then the flu shot, remember, don't get flu shot before mid-October for any reason, because it's waste. The flu vaccine lasts for at most 3 months, and the flu season does not end until April or May, and there is no flu until November. So there's no real point getting the flu shot before that, because it's just going to, and getting second one is not going to help you either, because by that time, virus completely mutated. So flu shot must be obtained as late as possible. You know, I actually prefer it in sometime first or second week of November. Okay. Does the long COVID occur more frequently in people who got COVID before they were vaccinated? Yeah, that's a great question. That is generally currently the thinking. But I will tell you that statistics here could be quite confusing because the problem is the original strain was more severe. And so the problem is this. It's absolutely clear that the more severe disease leads to more long COVID. The milder the cases, the less long COVID there is. So I think it's more linked to that. Well, of course, it's also linked to the fact that people before we got vaccinations, there were just more severe cases. So I think that's the way to think about that. It's a good question. Thank you. When is RSV vax produced? I think maybe somebody, Jennifer, maybe you can look it up. I thought that they kept telling mid-September, but it is mid-September. I haven't heard any updates. So it's any day they're supposed to release. There should be 2.
Well, my practice is giving it to babies, but not.
Oh, no. That's a different vaccine.
Oh, okay.
So RSV for babies has been around for at least.
Okay. Never mind.
It's a really different vaccine. It's actually a new technology too, so it's based on the new technology. The current RSV is an old vaccine. Okay, for join, that's a Cecilia. You sent this to me personally. You want me to answer that?
Yes, if you think it's
Yeah,
relevant.
that's a good question. Let me answer. So, just asking a question for joint health. Do you recommend glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM? And so, do you have a complex to recommend? Yeah, that's a very easy to quick answer. I love specifically all three: glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSM. The study, the main study that was conducted, called I think it was called Joint, if I'm not mistaken. I may have forgotten exactly. It was a very large study, over 1,000 patients, quadruple blind, randomized, and it showed that when you combine glucosamine with chondroitin, and both have to be sulfates, this is critical point, I'll come back to it in a second. When you combine it, it works better than non-steroidal anti-inflammatory for moderate to severe arthritis, but it doesn't work for mild. The study was critiqued left and right. The results were reported as negative because, of course, pharma was very pissed about the study, because basically NSAIDs were shown completely non-effective for arthritis. Neither was the Tylenol, because there were multiple groups, which doesn't actually necessarily agrees with our practice. So the data is there. I tend to recommend it to almost all of my patients with osteoarthritis in this exact combination with added MSM. The only trick is if you're very allergic to sulfur, you have to be careful, because MSM is a sulfur-containing molecule. I would never use brand Pioneer. It's a garbage brand, so I would stay out of that. I guess I shouldn't say that, since this is recorded. Maybe they'll sue the hell out of me if I say that. But it's not a top brand by stretch. I like the brand for this particular product called Protocol.
Spell it, please.
Protocol, like protocol.
Okay.
If you send me a personal email, I can hook you up with a wholesale discount for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a decent brand. It probably maybe a little bit more expensive, but you're paying for quality. The critical point, if you look at that bottle, Cecile, and if it says chloride, you shouldn't be taking this product. It doesn't work. Chloride, neither glucosamine chloride or glucosamine or chondroitin chloride is absorbed very well. Absorption is about 10%. Sulfate is absorbed about 80%. That's what you need. Okay, couple more minutes. Can you exhibit COVID symptoms 5 months after having COVID? Well, that's called long COVID, right? So we have patients who first present with kind of acute symptoms that would include headaches or changes in blood pressure when they move, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, those symptoms can persist for a long time, and we describe them later on as long COVID. The cases of a continuous acute COVID for more than a couple of weeks are almost unheard of, and they have not been heard with the current Omicron. So there is no such thing as a long active COVID. Nobody has seen this for many, many months.
So, Misha, I'm going to ask anyone who has a question that Misha hasn't answered, please hold it for next week, because next week, Dr. Kogan and PA Ashley Drapeau, who oversees the long COVID clinic at CIM, will be doing a extra long Q&A, just like we've been doing here, but I don't want to take more of Ellen's time than she's already been willing to donate to us. Okay? All right. So, hi, Ellen.
Hi, Jeanette. Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm always so happy to be here. You know, as I said to you before, it's just a really beautiful community you've created. And so I'm really happy to be here. As Jeanette said, I'm an acupuncturist herbalist, but my real passion and thing that I work on in terms of the whole body health is the entry point of food, because we eat every single day. You know, mind body practices are, I feel, integral to our health and our well-being, and I do those myself. I always work with my patients on that. But you know, food is something we do every day, so it's such a powerful medicine. And when we change our food, we can change a lot of our chemistry. And as Misha was saying earlier, you know, the chronic inflammation in a case as complex as long COVID, you know, inflammation is the foundation of so many chronic illnesses. So, you know, if we change our food, we can change our body, and then we can also clear our minds too. So I made a little PowerPoint just to kind of illustrate things. And of course, you know, put your questions in the chat. As my perspective is Chinese medicine, which is a little bit different than Western nutritional therapy, but very much the same in that we're sharing the idea of using whole foods to maybe get my, just got to get my view here. Hello, hold on a second. Whole foods to support whole health. So the question that I'm going to explore today is, you know, how do we work with our vitality with the food that we eat? So just a couple of questions for you to think about, and we'll revisit these at the end of my time. You know, just about your own energy. You know, what's your energy like in general? You know, do you have highs and lows? Do you have, you know, is it hard to get out of bed in the morning? Is it hard to do the things that you like to do or need to do during the day? So that's something you want to check in with yourself, with your own body. Are you recovering from an illness or surgery? This is always going to impact your vitality, right? And we're going to look at how we can nurture that. Another really important thing is, do you skip meals? That's, you know, our body needs regular fuel to keep our blood sugar level. It also affects our hormonal levels, etc. So if you're skipping meals and you're feeling anxious or tired, you know, part of that reason could be you're not getting the nourishment that you need. Another thing you want to think about, are you tired after eating? Because that can indicate digestive, you know, that you're not metabolizing, you're not processing your food efficiently. It might mean that, you know, certain foods don't work for you. I mean, even, you know, certain vegetables, certain good things, they're not good for everybody. Like for me, peppers, doesn't work, you know. So, you know, you have to kind of always check in with your own body and how are you feeling, you know, because when we eat, we should feel energized. So we should feel good, you know, we shouldn't feel tired. And again, do you feel good after eating? And then again, this digestive issue, are you experiencing any gas, bloating, or indigestion? I just want to bring up a clear thing, you know, fatigue, there are a lot of underlying reasons that a person can have fatigue. And it's not always food. So you want to see, you know, if you're having really long-term fatigue, you want to see your doc, your healthcare provider, and just check up, you know, what's going on. Is there something going on? You know, again, like the long COVID, recovering from a flu or virus. Also want to say something about energy, which is that, you know, we don't take into account just mental, emotional things that kind of can sap our energy. So we have to nourish ourselves for different stages of our lives. You know, like grief is a very exhausting emotion. So we want to honor that and kind of make it easy on our digestive system, on our bodies, give ourselves foods that are easy to process so that, you know, we can have as much energy as we can have at any given moment. Okay. So, you know, I just love this picture because we don't want to feel like this. I have to assume that you don't want to feel like this. And of course, processed food, junky food is not going to nurture your vitality. And as we're entering again into the autumn season, vitality also has a lot to do with a healthy and responsive immune system. So again, things like that. So here's some just basic things that I think all of you, if you've been part of this group, you probably know this by now, but it's always good to repeat it. You know, certain foods that will stress the body and don't really nourish us. Those greasy, creamy, and fatty foods that are hard for the liver to process, hard for the stomach. You know, it's just, you know, if you can kind of cut them back. If you know, we need fat in our body. So, you know, good quality olive oil, you know, if you're doing a high heat saute or anything like that, using avocado oil, which can stand high heat. You know, roasting vegetables will give you that kind of rich feeling that you like without harming you so much. Spicy foods, really interesting. I had a student once when I was teaching graduate nutrition students, and I was teaching a course on cooking with medicinal herbs. And I noticed this one student, he added pepper to everything, like everything. And there was like a whole vast array of spices and herbs to use. And at the end of the whole weekend, this was a weekend class, you know, I asked every student to think about one thing they would take away from the class that they could either add into or change. And then we would reconvene 3 weeks later. And so this one student said, you know, maybe I'll give up spicy foods and peppers. I went, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Okay. So he came back 3 weeks later. He looked different. And so I said to him, hey, how are you doing? He said, well, I noticed something really profound. I said, what was that? He said, I'm calmer. I'm more focused. My digestion's better. Even my wife said I'm not so irritable to be around. So spicy foods, though they're fabulous, if you're having a lot of them, they can be very inflammatory and irritating to the system. So you might want to kind of bring them down a little bit. Again, you know, sugar, refined carbohydrates are just not really that useful for us. You know, once in a while, of course, if you have a holiday or a special occasion, okay, but not like on a regular basis. If you're grabbing cookies, white bread, it's not going to work for you. Anything that's not grown under the sun, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, of course, prepackaged and processed foods just have a lot of added stuff in them that, you know, may not be useful for your health and vitality. Excessive alcohol, and of course, for women that we don't process alcohol the way men do, even more than one drink a day. I think even that's too much, but you know, that can be hard on the system, interfere with sleep, etc. And if you don't sleep well, your energy is not going to be great. And again, foods that are hard for you to digest, and everybody's different. You know, I don't process milk well. I never have. Even when I was a baby, you know, my cow's milk formula, my mom had to change that to soy milk. So that's just me, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. Gluten, I don't process well. I'm not celiac, but I know when I cut out gluten, you know, a lot of stomach issues went away. So, you know, you have to check in with your own body and see how you're feeling. But here's some things you can do. Again, what's bringing you energy? You know, energy is something, and vitality is something we have to nourish. We have to nurture, right, in our own lives with food, but also with our activities. Sometimes we don't have energy because it's all bound up in tension and stress. And so when we work with Amin, you know, in the HeartMath, we can see how we can get that flow and regulation. So it doesn't make you feel good, right? Again, how do you feel after eating? If you feel tired, moody, you know, if your energy's up and down, you have to look at that and adjust what you eat. You know, regular meals, I cannot tell you the people's, my patients, you know, who have anxiety, energy swings, when they eat regular meals, a lot of things can shift. Again, anxiety, of course, can have other underlying reasons, but you know, if we're not having enough fuel, we're getting a lot of cortisol into our system so that we can help, that cortisol helps to regulate our blood sugar. And I just say color and light and, you know, things that look fresh and that appeal to your eye, that appeal to your senses have a lot to do with, you know, feeling nurtured and nourished in a vital way. And of course, finally, just what Michael Pollan, the wonderful food author, and it's gone on to written about mind-altering substances, etc. Eat whole foods, mostly plants, not too much, just about 80% full, okay? Just again, looking what's in your pantry, you know, check it out. It's always good. You know, we go into our closets every season. Why not go into our pantry and see what's there? You know, do you have any green vegetables in your fridge that are, you know, that haven't like rotten because you forgot to eat them this week? You know, have those green vegetables like every single day. That brings a lot of chlorophyll, a lot of minerals, a lot of calcium in collard greens, like higher levels in collard greens than there is in skim milk. So that's something to know. Are you eating any kind of whole grains? Are you having nuts and seeds? How about your animal protein? Are you getting enough protein? As we get older, we need a little bit more protein. And I'm not talking about a big steak, but I am talking about some kind of protein with your meals, again, to help you. Lentils and beans lentils are very good for regulating blood sugar. And so even for breakfast, you can have, as we move into the cooler months, you can have foods that, like soup is a great breakfast in the morning. A lot of countries around the world have soup for breakfast. So, you know, lentil soup will kind of help keep your blood sugar levels more even and steady. And then, you know, using spices and herbs from whatever cultural tradition you're in, whatever your flavor palette is a really beautiful thing too. And then there are some kind of tonic herbs that are really beneficial. But the thing is, you know, people are always looking for that magic tonic herb, right? And the thing is that if you're not eating a health promoting diet, then having tonic herbs on top of that isn't going to be that useful. We have to get rid of those obstacles, that things that are taking away from your vitality and your energy, and look at and then adding the tonic herbs into a good diet. So astragalus not good for people with hypertension, high blood pressure, because astragalus lifts the energy, goes to the Chinese medicine, we say it has an affinity for the heart and lungs. So if you have hypertension, it's not good because it raises the energy up. So we don't want to do that. American ginseng would be a little bit more beneficial, more mild for that. Goji berries, I'll show you a picture in a minute on that one. Mushrooms are really beautiful, nice food for your immune system, vitality, etc. You know, in American cooking, they're kind of like an afterthought, but in Asian cooking, you know, around the world, and we're looking at the potency of many different kinds of mushrooms in terms of immunity, anti-cancer, vitality, etc. I like shiitake mushrooms. They're really good for vitality. This is just a really easy kind of mushroom saute. So you can make a whole meal of it. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, they're also nice. They've got kind of a meaty flavor. They have a lot of umami, which is deep, rich flavor, which is really important because you want to enjoy your food, right? Again, just fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, seeds, good quality animal foods, you know, beautiful colors, just nourishing you is a great thing. So, you know, I eat really well. I really take care of myself. I move every day. I meditate. I work. You know, I maintain my home, etc. But, you know, sometimes I need a little extra lift, a little extra focus. And green tea is a lovely way to do that. I think I showed you this slide in the last time I was here when I was talking about eating to beat the heat. It's like, and I hear in DC it's very hot. So, you know, green tea is very refreshing. There are a lot of polyphenols, antioxidants in it. And we say in Chinese medicine, it helps to refresh the mind. It also helps to focus the mind, and it's a nice little caffeine lift, not hard on your stomach like coffee can be. And a lot of people drink coffee like first thing in the morning, which is super hard on your digestive system and on your hormones because it sends a ton of cortisol into your system. So it can create a high and a low. So, and it can, if you have a tendency towards anxiety, it can make you a little bit more jumpy. So green tea is a nice alternative. Going back to this astragalus root, actually it's quite a common vetch, it's called in the West. And astragalus root is just a very common, like I said, tonic herb. And if you don't have high blood pressure, you know, it's very woody, so you can't chew it, but you can put it in a little cheesecloth and put it in a soup. So it like adds a kind of tonic energy to your soups. Really good to prevent getting sick. It's not good if you are sick because it is a tonic tends to kind of consolidate and lift energy. You don't want to kind of what we say in Chinese medicine, lock the thief in the house, which is your body. You know, you don't want to keep the cold in, you don't want to keep the virus in. You want to do it when you're recovering from an illness, when all those kind of mucus symptoms are gone, but you're a little tired, or just in general, you can do it like every week, once a week, or something like that. Goji berries, you may be seeing them in grocery stores. They're a little pricey, but they're kind of wonderful Chinese herb, and they have sweetness to them. You can put them in teas to sweeten the tea. You can put them in soup. And it doesn't really make the soup sweet, but it again brings a tonic quality. It's really good for the liver, for the eyes, and the kidneys, we say, because in Chinese medicine, we look at food going to different organ systems. So to build your vitality, the body needs a balanced movement, nourishment, rest, okay? It's called regulation of our system. Your digestive system needs to be working well, and, you know, so that you can so that you get the nourishment you need. Okay. I love this color, you know, sunflowers. Sunflowers, I love the word in French and Italian. In French, it's tournesol, and in Italian, it's girasole, like turning towards the sun. Let's turn our bodies towards the sun, which is like our own vitality, right? So I say, Chuyao, eat your medicine. This is my book. It's got lots of cool recipes. I got 175 seasonal recipes in there. And, you know, if you can get it on Amazon or bookshop.org, your local bookstore. It's a great resource if you're interested. And that's me. And so I'm going to stop my share, and I'd love to see your questions. So let's see, where's the questions here? My mushroom guy recommended dry frying mushrooms, a little salt till they give up their moisture before you add the oil, concentrates the flavor. Oh, that's beautiful, Jennifer. Yeah, I love to do that. Yeah. Or, you know, also like putting oil on your mushrooms with a little salt and sticking them in the oven and roasting them also kind of concentrates if you don't have an air fryer. Do you have any other questions just about food or any kind of chronic, you know, or just acute issue? You're wondering what to eat? Anything like that? All right. Well, is it okay to eat mushrooms raw? Not my favorite thing. I'm not really sure. I think they're a little hard to digest. I would prefer either just, you know, quickly sauteing or air frying, like Jennifer said. And yeah, so, you know, just saute them, put them in soups. Yeah, saute them first, put them in an omelet or mix them in with other vegetables, roast them. I like to roast them or pan fry them and then just mix them in with rice or put them on top of salad, something like that. What is another name for gluten? Jada, I don't know another name for gluten. I'm sorry to say that there is one. Any specific supportive health recommendations for a transition for summer to fall? Yeah, I think you need, you know, now's the time. Our body's transitioning, our physiology is transitioning a little bit. So again, eating foods that are easy to digest, really nice, more cooked soups, a lot of more fluid, because actually it's ironic, but autumn is kind of dry. It's a drying time. Even nature dries up, right? So we want to keep hydrated. Also, that helps protect our mucous membranes, making us less vulnerable to catching respiratory viruses, etc. So easier, you know, easier to digest food, simplifying your diet a little bit. Kind of like, you know, with clothing, you kind of, the climate changes and you're like, what do I wear? Same thing. What do I eat? Just nice, easy food. Talk a little bit about seaweed. Sea vegetables are brilliant. I love them. If you've never tried them, please do. They're filled with tons of minerals, calcium, magnesium, iron, phosphorus. They add a lot of umami to foods. You can put kombu in soups or beans, helps with the digestibility of beans. Nori, of course, has a lot of protein and is easy to eat just as a snack. They sell them a lot in stores now. Dulse, which is a red seaweed. You don't see it so readily in stores, but it's very, very high in protein, very nice to eat as well. How much water should we drink? The old water question. If you eat enough fruits and vegetables every day, just drink water when you're thirsty, because there's so much water in fruits and vegetables. If you're eating a lot of carbohydrates and protein and you're just not eating a lot of vegetables, you're going to be needing to drink more water. But I've actually heard stories of older people drinking lots of water and then having issues with their kidneys. So don't drive yourself crazy. But if you're doing a lot of dehydrating things, also like coffee, alcohol, etc., you're going to need a little bit of water. So just add more fruits and vegetables would be my recommendation. And thank you very much. So nice to be with you. And I guess we're gonna go to Amin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Thanks for coming back again. And today I'm going to lead us in a series of techniques and meditative practices that help short, simple, elegant, as we like to call them, user-friendly, evidence-based practices that help regulate the emotions. And the way that usually they work, according to the peer-reviewed research that went into this, is emotional regulation by way of intelligent energy management system. And that sounds very mouthful, so I will keep it very simple. So when we feel an emotion that is depleting, for example, anger or frustration or sadness, we tend to have challenges or difficulty in maintaining the ability to regulate how we respond. It also has impact on our immune system, and also reduces our ability to have what we or be in what we consider to be high states of mental functioning. And so the way out of this is, in order to maintain the energy and have a way to self-regulate energetically, or the physical energy and the emotional energy, is by using the breath and focusing the attention on what we call emotions or qualities of the heart. That these are emotions that bring more energy and more awareness of our emotional state. So just by way of introduction, my name is Amin. I'm certified HeartMath trainer. HeartMath Institute is based out of Santa Cruz, California, and they do research on the intersection of the heart and the science of the heart, and how the heart rhythm, which is the changes from the differences between each heartbeat, creates a pattern or a rhythm, or technically called HRV, heart rhythm variation. When that variation is mapped on or plotted on a chart, it shows different patterns based on different emotions, for example. But generally, when we experience emotions that are renewing and uplifting, they tend to have a more coherent, smooth sine wave pattern. And when they're depleting emotions, they tend to be more jagged. And so even though they are different within each emotional state, they more or less have the same or similar looking patterns, right, which is more of this jagged. And then when it's uplifting and supportive of our emotional, mental well-being, then they have this more of a smooth sine wave pattern. And so I want to go into a simple technique, one of the many techniques we do, and this is the heart focused breathing. It's the simplest of what we teach, and what it does is this is an intelligent energy management system, and simply by using the breath, we're able to maintain and cultivate more energy, more renewing energy. So by way of practice, we can we encourage people to keep the eyes open, because these techniques are also designed to be used in the moment, so that we don't have to close our eyes or take time out. We can literally be in the middle of a challenging situation, and we can just do this simple 1-2 minute practices and be able to reset our nervous system and be able to stay engaged and allow for our ability to be in challenging situations or difficulty be something that we can be resilient to, right, and build that ability. So you can bring your attention now to your heart, and we're going to do, right? We'll do the heart focused breathing. So focus your attention in the area of the heart, and imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. You're breathing a little slower and deeper than usual. And so we make a suggestion. You can inhale for 5 seconds, count for 5, and as you exhale, you do the same amount. So, or you could do 4, whatever rhythm is comfortable and easy for you. Okay, so that was a simple, quick example of one of the many techniques that we use in our practices, and this is called the heart-focused breathing. And so the next stage is we will add what we call renewing emotions. Renewing emotions are emotions or feelings that create coherence, that bring in more of this alignment. So there's feelings and emotions such as courage, confidence, appreciation, gratitude, true care, enthusiasm, kindness, joy. And so the way to get deep into the next example and next practice is when I give the instruction to have an experience of that. What you want to go for is re-experiencing the feeling, okay, of appreciation, gratitude, right? So I want instead of just thinking about it, just bring it into, a felt sense, and you definitely get a lot of benefit when we go in that way. So again, we start with heart-focused breathing. So you focus your attention in the area of the heart, and imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. You're breathing in a little slower and deeper than usual. Again, you can inhale for a count of 5 or 4, and then you exhale for the same amount. Just find a rhythm that's comfortable for you. And now, make a sincere attempt to experience a renewing emotion, a regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for someone or something in your life. And so re-experience that feeling you have for someone you love, a pet, a special place, an accomplishment, etc. And focus on feeling, or you can focus on a feeling of calm or ease. Okay, so now this gives you a bit of an experience of what these practices can do with practice, with repeated practice. This will become sort of second nature, and the benefits will also build over time. This is what a lot of the research has shown. And what I'm going to do now next is, now that we kind of broke down the parts, we'll go into a little bit longer practice of the same. And this is from another one of our techniques called shift and lift, which is usually designed to help a team of people, a group of people align together on a goal and have this coherence of the team members' hearts and alignment of the heart energies. So let's start by focusing our attention in the area of the heart. Again, the heart-focused breathing. and doing the heart focus breathing. And just imagine your breath is flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. You're breathing a little slower and deeper than usual, and finding an easy rhythm that's comfortable for you. And as you do this, you're beginning to balance and synchronize the autonomic nervous system. Now, to harmonize the brain and the nervous system and bring us into a heart coherent state, we add in activation of the qualities of the heart. And so now let's activate feelings, attitudes or feelings of kindness, appreciation, genuine connection, an attitude of deep listening for our own heart. As you do the heart focused breathing, you breathe in these heart qualities of kindness, appreciation, genuine connection, an attitude of deep listening. And as a group, we're listening to each other and each other's hearts. Now let's radiate or send out these heart energies and the heart qualities out from our heart through the heart's electromagnetic field that stretches way beyond the body to each other and everyone on the call. As we radiate these heart energies, as we shine our heart, these heart qualities raise our own vibration as well as help lift others and the energy field of the environment that surrounds us. And while we are in this heart connected state, with compassion for all, let's hold in our hearts compassion for all the people who are experiencing separation, stress, anxiety, struggles of all kinds during these times, and see the collective heart energies lift the collective heart of humanity and the energy field so that we can draw in more understanding and harmonious outcomes. And let's close our meditation by setting a collective intention to co-create a reservoir of this coherent heart energy that each of us can build on and access as needed throughout the day and the rest of the week. And we may connect to this reservoir of energy to access our heart's intuitive guidance for our own life and to support us as we create more effective choices and solutions.
Thank you, Amin. With that, does anybody have any questions about HeartMath or about this practice? Okay, well, thank you all for coming.
There's a raised hand. Sorry, there was a
Oh.
raised hand.
I just want to ask a question. If you want to do sessions with your group, I know you're out of California.
No, I'm actually in Washington, D.C. The institute is based in California.
Okay, so I can get your information from Janet.
That is correct, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we're all in a really good place to start our weekends, no? Be safe, be well, go outside, breathe the air, have fun. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.